Okay. Was there anything
Hayden.
specific that Madeline does not already know?
No.
So you
I'm
can
not in the
listen
video. I'm even
The one thing that came up in the,
you can.
I love seeing all these people.
You gotta come closer, Dale and Dad.
The one thing that happened that is relevant, I think, to anybody is that Megan brought up, like, what is the primary place where things are located, where like information is located. And so do you know the answer to that question? Or
No,
you?
who's Megan?
Oh, Lily's mom.
Oh, that Megan. Yep.
And so we were talking about how, that Sign Up Genius should, and we're working really hard to get everything to make sure that Sign Up Genius is like the, if something is conflicting, go to Sign Up Genius. And so now Ashley and I are both double checking things that are on there just to make sure the information is correct. So that should be like the number one point of whatever, point of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like place to go. So if you're like, I don't know what this is written this way and this is written this way, go to Sign Up Genius. That's the place where the definitive information should be. I think it's best if I take any questions that anybody has. So does anyone, I love seeing all these children and all these people. Does anybody have any questions? Liz.
I sent all my questions in advance to Ashley.
You did, and I have them.
And I don't remember them now, so I was patiently.
The questions were all dates related. So it was all, when are things happening? And anything that has a date is in Sign Up Genius with a date right now. There's a lot of things that we're waiting for. So like, just to kind of walk through the year, there's things, this is the B team, right? So B team has the Keen Day at the French Embassy is coming up. And then there's not really anything else for the fall that's in right now. So anything that would come in is going to be coming in new. And then in the spring, we are going to be preparing for, there's the St. Patrick's Day Kaylee, but St. Patrick's Day is not on a weekend this year. So I'm going to try to work with Easter Market, but it requires making sure that we're not conflicting with any like school fundraisers or anything like that. So that's the big thing in March. And then Joy of Motion, who's presenting us in an evening long thing, they had a huge turnover. They had like 3 people leave all of a sudden. And so they are trying to, I told them I need these dates as soon as possible. And so what we're looking at for that is sometime between St. Patrick's Day and spring break. So before spring break, but after St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is March 17th. There's no information about the flaw yet. That stuff always comes late. And then just trying to work out to make sure that our event at McGinty's doesn't conflict with the Parsippany flaw. So there's a lot of moving parts, and we have calls into anyone who can help us solidify those, because I do know like that's come in from a bunch of people that dates are, participation is helped when things can get on the calendar early. So we're working on getting that as quickly as possible. That was actually all of your questions, Liz, were schedule related. Do you have another question?
One thing that there isn't a Sign Up Genius for, but is rumored, is a November 3rd.
What is the rumor? What is
November 3rd all-day workshop, a weekend. And Ashley confirmed that that's, quote, definitely happening.
Okay.
So we've been holding that, but there's been no Sign Up Genius. So I've confirmed it with Ashley, but I'm worried that I'm the only person who knows about it. But then Jen Chance confirmed that I was right, that November 3rd.
Are those, they're in the Shannon in DC Sign Up Genius. But what I heard from Megan was that it would be helpful to have each of those things have their own Sign Up Genius.
Oh, I ignored the Shannon in DC Sign Up Genius because it said there will be Sign Up Geniuses for these individually.
Okay, so I'm making a note of this right now, so that will go out. DC. Yes, two. Okay, got it.
But there is a November 3rd thing?
I do not have my calendar in front of me. I'm in a different headspace, but this is on my top priority list for tomorrow, is getting that out to you guys.
I have another question.
Yep, shoot.
Are you anticipating trying to get both a U12 and a U13 to 15 set together for Parsippany? Is that your intent or not?
So I only have a couple of responses for interest in Ireland. And so I was waiting. The way that it works is if kids are trying to go to Ireland, then those are the kids that go to Parsippany. But if we're not going to Ireland that year, or if only solos are trying to go, then I would take anybody who would want to go for the practice to Parsippany. Does that make sense? So let's say I get a set of U12 that's all interested in going to Ireland. If that happened, then I wouldn't take any other U12s to participate in Parsippany, because I don't know who else is going. And so like, I want to make sure that if, okay, so let me see if I can say this another way. If we're the only people participating, then I don't mind going up and participating to keep our skills up and to keep dance as part of that competition. But if there's other people, or if people are trying to qualify, then we wouldn't go and take up space in those competitions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now, I probably not.
So you're going to make a decision after you see, just because like for us, since for solo, qualifying for solo is such a, it's so random and like such a crapshoot. Like no one can count on qualifying as a soloist, right? Like you could be the best dancer in the world and you could not count on going as a soloist. I feel, from what I've observed, right? Because there's like ringer kids that come in. There was the boy in the shoe.
That's your question.
So, but the set, if you say you're going to participate in the set, there's like a good chance you'd be committed then to going to Ireland. And so is there a deadline by which you're going to ask for commitments? Just because it will, like, come January, it will affect decisions like summer camp enrollment and like family vacation are decisions we usually make in January.
That decision really needs to be made before January.
Okay.
Like that's something that needs to really be, if people want to go to Ireland, that really needs to be decided in the next month. Just for planning purposes. And then, so then like come January, if there's no one going and qualifying, then we could we could talk about taking other kids up just for a practice competition or whatever. That makes sense. Hold on, I'm writing something down. Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? I see Shauna's talking, but wait, I gotta unmute you. How do I do this? Okay, there you are.
I was just gonna say it might be useful to run through some of the questions that people sent in. Like I know I sent one in about at some point there was a Sign Up Genius with December dates, but they said like December classes. And I don't
yeah. Yes.
And so I don't, again, like maybe just like say it's all gonna come out in a Sign Up Genius tomorrow and I'm good with that. But just like
yeah, so there were a lot of questions about dates. And so that was the thing that was the feedback that I got was that Sign Up Genius being the primary place, and then the parent emails being a helpful reminder to just lay things out.
Yeah.
That's the feedback, that people are really using those two tools. And so that was really helpful for us to be like, okay, got it. Now we know how to streamline this communication. The December dates were, because December's so wacky, I was going to come in and do workshops like during the week in the evenings, or in lieu of having regular class. So the kids who are in regular class, I would just be visiting their class. And the kids who are not in those classes could drop into those classes in a workshop format. So like we've done in years past with other people who've come in for a week, it'll just be me instead of another person. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I'm making furious notes as well. And I am like, you know, I know that everybody is planning ahead and making commitments and trying to make this a priority. And so I'm trying to get dates to you guys as soon as I can. Because I don't like to, the one thing that I hate to do to everybody, including myself, is start switching things. So that's also like, there's sometimes a hesitation when I'm like, let me make sure that this is actually going to work, because I'd rather wait for it to be solid than have like make it and then change and all of that. So I'm trying to avoid that confusion. But I am aware that everybody's trying to plan with 90 billion activities. Anybody else?
So this is Will.
Hey, Will.
So is there a regular session, or is this all special dances? I mean, how does it work?
So you mean classes?
Regular class. I mean, is there something happening every Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that?
Yeah, well, so regular classes are still happening. Brian is teaching regular classes at the studio. On Tuesday, the group is really small. And I think that would be like Electra's group. And so, you know, that is happening. And I strongly recommend that kids find some way to practice regularly, even if they're reviewing the dances on the website or going to regular class. Because even though the skills, like, you know, like if you're in set dancing class, maybe we're not doing the exact set that we perform, but all of those skills, all of the movements, all of that choreography is applicable to what we're doing. And so the classes that Brian is offering are Shanos dancing, which is all improv based and like percussive technique, which is really great. And then set and social dancing. And so there's links to those on my website, and they're also on the Capital Irish Arts website.
Okay.
And those are during the same times that they had been before.
I honestly don't know whether or not Electra will do it, but I do know if it clashes with the school play, she's going to do the school play, which is I think she's a snowflake or something. So she's doing a lot of dancing for that, I gather. So I'm not sure yet, but I want to at least find out and make sure that I haven't missed out on an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say, like, you know, if there's something where like there's a play, but then the play has like a gap, you know, and I don't want to encourage kids to drop in and out, but I do know that especially as they get into the older grades and they get into middle school, there's a lot of things going on. So I'd rather make opportunities for kids to dance, like rather than, you know, if it's an absolute yes or no, and the answer is going to be no, I would rather make opportunities for them to at least partially be able to say yes. The other thing that, you know, I recommend is just getting together, like especially the kids that have been dancing with me for a while. If they have other kids, you know, like if Electra and Caden are both doing the play, but just getting together and dancing through the dances that we perform. Because what I noticed like last week was like the kids who'd kind of been keeping up that repertoire or had other opportunities, like in Ireland, we did all that busking with that material. So those kids like could jump in and do those dances, which then gives me opportunities to give them additional stuff and keep them moving, because I would hate for it to get stale. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Yes,
Okay.
I'm not sure what will happen, but I'll certainly talk to her and try to find out what she wants to do. But I do know that her the school dance one has definitely put the you must do this, and she was telling me, I miss sessions and you're out. I'm not going to miss any sessions, So she's very definitely going to do that.
Yeah. Okay. And then if they can't make class, getting together and working together, going on the website. And like I've said before, if the dance is on the website, there's something on the website that doesn't make sense or is too fast, or like they can't work from that particular video for whatever reason. It's frontwards and you need to be backwards. Like, just send me an email and I'll make you a new video.
Okay.
Like, I've definitely made videos like in costume in the bathroom because somebody was trying to practice like the Maggie Picky and couldn't get step 3. And so like, it was the only like time and space I had was like in a like 18th century costume in the bathroom of Lisner Auditorium. But like, who cares? Because I could make you that video. It's very easy for me to do those, and I don't mind doing them if it means that kids are going to practice.
You can be seen.
Hi. Like my spider.
Anyway, I'll talk later. So you can just listen if you want.
Does anybody else have questions?
Dale had something to say.
No, never mind.
No. Womp womp. I think that like for everybody here has been here for a couple of years. And so a lot of the stuff that would be like really necessary to get across, I think in a parent meeting, like the baseline stuff either was covered in the other video or would be stuff that we already know. The one thing that we did talk about in the other one with the A-team was the parent volunteers. And the feedback was that people are having trouble volunteering because they are having trouble committing to like a job that they can do all the time. And that is not my intention with those roles. Like, my intention with those roles is to say, like, when I said like helping out with like the planning of the St. Patrick's Day Ceilidh, I don't mean like you're going to have to be chair of that committee. It's helpful for me to be able to have a parent. In most of those cases, it's having a parent as a point person to help mobilize other parents. So like, let's just say that you're on photos, you sign up to help out with photos. Like, mainly what that means is like, you don't have to be the person taking photos at every gig, just helping me line up someone to take photos at every gig, so that we have like, it's more of helping coordinate on each of those things rather than being the absolute point person who's responsible for that whole operation. It's more of, can you help me just make sure that this job is getting accomplished, rather than having to be that person. Does that make sense? Great. Yeah, Liz?
So I signed up to be the coordinator for the A-team. This is just a special plea that it'd be great if there was a separate person for the B-team. Just because I think it's a big enough job that there could be 2.
Was that backstage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if it's an A-team, if I'm doing it for A-team, fine. But if it's an all gig, it's sometimes helpful to have 2 people anyway.
Yeah.
And so just since we're on the B-team call.
Yep.
And for the taking the pictures, just give them to you, right? Because you're the one who does Instagram and tweets and stuff like that. It's not to Ashley, right? Give
Right.
you photos.
Right. And you can put them, like you can put them in WhatsApp, or you can like Google Drive or whatever. Just basically just getting them to me, because that's what we use for social media and that kind of thing. I don't know, now that I'm saying that, I don't know if you put them in WhatsApp if they retain their quality. That's a great question that I'm not sure I know the answer to, because sometimes things lose their quality. So whoever has that job, we will discuss.
Well, we've been posting our videos and stuff to WhatsApp, but I've been sending you stuff separately in a way
Right,
that
like in the
I think
cloud.
is losing quality, but I don't know about WhatsApp. I don't know the answer to your question.
Yeah, it's funny. I've never looked at it with that lens. I just know that I tried to pull something off WhatsApp, but it might have been the way that the person sent it to me. So look at that quality.
For the photos, is it you said before like it was for the FLA kids. Is it just for the kids who went to the FLA this year, or the kids who went to the FLA years past?
So this was talking, Madeline's asking a question about, I was saying that I really wanted to get some nice photos taken, and try to get some nice video of things like Kukanandi that really represent like what we do, just so we could have that. Those, I haven't made a decision about what those photos will be. I think ultimately it would be nice to get like a very large group picture that really shows the entirety of the group, and then also have, you know, some pictures with kids in their FLA dresses or dancing a set. But that doesn't necessarily have to be, I haven't made that decision yet. It's more of like, you know, having some nice pictures of like the A team doing something complicated, or the whole group, or, you know, but I haven't, partly because coordinating that effort of getting everyone there at once in the same place, photo ready, is going to be a bit of a challenge. So I think it's going to end up being one of those things with, you know, whoever can make it ends up having the picture taken. I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know the answer to that question, but I don't like to not include people.
Okay.
That is not ever really my MO. I have a really hard time with that. So.
Okay.
Pierce, do you have any questions? Aoife, you got any questions?
No, nothing from me.
Am I like on your television? You guys seem so far away.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the Shannon show. Oh God, that's terrifying.
Set up specially for the call.
Ooh, that's really awesome. Oh, Garrett. Hey, buddy.
Hi, Garrett.
I got spiders in my head.
Was there anything, I guess, just before we get off then, is there anything else that you need from us?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, I think that, like I said this in the other call, the thing that's different for me personally this year is like when I was on the ground, when I was seeing people at pickup, or when I was seeing people like week to week in class, there was a lot of like person-to-person contact where I was answering a lot of questions outside of the realm of like Sign Up Genius or whatever. It was sort of like there was a lot of like details that were being passed around that way. And so, and in that way, I didn't mind repeating like a lot of answers, or, you know, just when I would see someone, I would have answers one off. I think that using the WhatsApp to ask questions to the group really helps it does two things. It helps take the burden off of me in that other people can jump in and answer those questions. But it also, if one person has a question, typically a lot of other people have that same question. So using WhatsApp for those communications really, I think, helps disseminate that information in ways that are faster and kind of getting to everyone. Because if it comes up for one person, it typically comes up for everybody. But the other thing was and I know that this is dates dependent, is particularly at the workshops, signing up for the workshops earlier. And I said this in the video as well. Last year, I held the lease for the studio, so my overhead was set. And if it didn't really matter because I was paying the same thing. So I would show up if there was 1 kid, I would show up if there were 3 kids, I would show up if there were 20 kids. It was all the same because it was all contributing to that bottom line. But this year, I have to rent the studio space at an hourly rate from Jen. So she now is the leaseholder on the studio. So what that means is the idea of a minimum to be met for a workshop really becomes much more crucial for me, especially when I'm trying to do like 3 or 4 hours in a row. So just really, registering for those workshops early is really helpful. And also putting it in Sign Up Genius so I know who I can depend on. But really registering in advance is the most helpful thing, particularly for the workshops, because then I know, okay, I've got the space and this is good and we're good and we're moving on this. So that was really, kind of the doing things in advance. The other thing is that in Sign Up Genius, if I'm not mistaken, the way that Sign Up Genius, the way Ashley has it set up is there's yes and no, but there's not a maybe. And so I would just say, I'm hesitant to put maybe back because maybe always causes so much confusion for me. But I would say if you are a maybe, put yourself as a no and just put a comment. This gig might work for us. It's just dependent on whatever. So that I know okay, can't count on this person, but this person may come through. That's really helpful to me because the other thing that does is it tells me that you've seen it and that it's like on your radar. That child is accounted for in a particular way. And then if you say Kaden can only make it to this gig, we're a no because she can't make it at the call time. She would make it 15 minutes after the gig starts or whatever. Then I have the option if I need you to then reach out and say okay, I actually need her at this gig whenever you can make it, or okay, that's not actually going to work for us because we'll need that rehearsal time. So if you are a maybe, put yourself as a no and write what the conditions are, because then I know to check back in if something opens up or if there's suddenly a lot of flexibility or time change or whatever. That's very, very helpful. And Shauna, I know that you had sent an email about the link being wrong. Was that the link from the newsletter that you tried to click?
It was the link that went out. Yes, it was the link that went out this morning at 10. So I'm not even. It was it had a cute picture of you. Kaden said it was a very nice picture of you. In fact, so
it was the big one, right?
Yeah. So it had it linked to the art. I mean, it linked to the Capitol Hill Arts, but not to the sign up or to a place where I could register.
I don't know what happened. There were 4 different links that
Register
were wrong.
for what?
On that. For the workshops in October. The Columbus Day weekend.
Oh, right. So there's right. Back to, right. There's still no sign up for the November 3rd workshops.
Right. This was the newsletter, the Shannon
Yes,
done.
we can't do that.
Yeah.
That's Columbus Day weekend, right?
Yeah. I think the only other thing I asked Shannon was about cutting the dress, and I'm just scared to cut it. I am scared that I will botch it badly. I borrowed fancy scissors, but I'm scared. I'm just running. That's all.
Yeah. So what I said to somebody else, I was like, just cut it a little bit at a time.
Right.
Just cut an inch off, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more.
Yes, I'll make faces for me. Okay.
I know. I'm the same way. I have actually a pair of pants that are that same. They're made by the same designer, and they're just a little long, and I'm so afraid to cut them. Because I'll be oh, look, a shiny object, and then I'll have pants that are asymmetrical.
Hmm.
But
That's
Katie,
very
your dress
stylish.
is really long, isn't it? Yeah. So you got some room in there. I also wondered if you took it to like just one of the women, like one of the dry cleaners that does alterations.
Yeah.
Like, they might have, because like somebody else told me you can get like a roller, that you just roll it across and it cuts it like a pizza cutter. And I can't imagine that they would charge you very much to do that. But I think you can do it. I believe in you.
There's a reason I'm not a kindergartner teacher.
Mm.
Cutting is a problem, but okay, we'll get it done. Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Wait, I just want to say that when is Shannon in town? Your workshop is listed for Saturday, November 2nd. I had been saying the 3rd.
Okay.
It says November 2nd. Though there's no specific sign up for that workshop, the date listed is Saturday, November 2nd.
Yeah. Okay. Roger that. Elizabeth, you got anything over there? You good? Okay. Oh, bing, bing.
Okay. Bye.
My cats are okay. If anyone needed to know that, that's what that text message was. The cats are okay. Because Gigi, my black cat, while my entire family was in South Bend for the football game, went into my sister's bag and ate a hot dog. So we were a little worried about what was going to happen to the cat after eating the hot dog. Why there was a hot dog in my sister's bag remains to be figured out, but that's what that text message was. Okay, I think that's it.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Hey, thanks, guys.
All right.